Now I have a whole different dedication of my life, and that is to try and get people to understand that if we're going to save planet Earth, we must do the same things that I've done for 44 years to save my patients.
Continue watching to find out more.
Vegan, because we know the true cost. It is shameless to try to cover up.
Tervieh, considerate viewers, I just said hello in Karelian, a language spoken in the Republic of Karelia. My name is Irina. The wise people of Karelia, thank you and your loved ones for protecting the health of our planet and every living being it sustains. Welcome to part 1 of our show, Dr. John McDougall, vegan, on the natural diet of humans. Dr. McDougall is a distinguished American physician, author of the Starch Solution, plus 12 other books, a public speaker, and a famous proponent of the low-fat-starch-based diet. On today's show, we'll learn about Dr. McDougall's journey of discovery into the benefits of this diet and the science behind it.
I'm a medical doctor, and that's what I am first of all. And for me to practice medicine, I had to learn a different cause of disease rather than it being hereditary or bad luck, which is what I was taught. That's how you have the misfortune of having all these chronic diseases. I had to understand that it was the food. It's the food that makes people well or makes people sick. And so in an effort to be a good doctor, a doctor that helped people, I had to change my own personal diet. And this happened to me back in about 1973.
At that time, many medical professionals recommended a standard diet that included animal people products, largely as a result of marketing and lobbying by the animal people industries. So how did Dr. McDougall discover that these were actually the cause of so much disease? Let's continue with his story.
What happened is I was a young doctor. I was working on a sugar plantation on the Big Island of Hawaii. And what I had an opportunity to do was to take care of people who ate differently. I took care of first, second, third, and fourth generations Filipinos, Japanese, Chinese, and Koreans. And these people had been raised in their native land, Korea, Japan, etc. And they had learned a diet primarily of rice and vegetables. And then they moved to the Big Island to have a new life. And there they married, they had offspring, they had children and grandchildren. And the children and grandchildren were influenced by Western living and Western eating. And so I saw the first generation always trim, never with heart disease, never with diabetes, working hard into their 80s and 90s, living on rice and vegetables. And the children who developed a more well-balanced diet, they got fatter and sicker, as they added the meat, the protein, the dairy, the calcium. They got fatter and sicker. So I made this observation almost a half a century ago. And then because of my enrollment in the study of internal medicine, I developed a passion for the scientific literature. And what I found is that it's the food. That's why people are sick. They eat like kings and queens. They eat like aristocrats. And the wealthy throughout history were obese. They had the gout, they had diabetes, they had the sicknesses from eating the rich food. Well, once I discovered this, I knew why my patients were ill.
It's well known today that protein overconsumption has been linked to an increase in cancer and many other diseases in countries that use meat as their main source of protein. However, back then, in order to promote this healthier diet to his patients, Dr. McDougall realized that he needed to model it in his own life.
I had to make the changes myself because you can't tell somebody something you don't do. And so I realized I couldn't ask my patients to eat a starch-based diet, to give up the ice cream and the pork chops and the pizzas, unless I did it. And so I changed my diet back in 1976. Anyway, that's how I became a vegan, is in my interest to care for my patients. It wasn't because of my concern for animal rights and the abusive care of animals, which I'm quite sensitive to now. It wasn't because of my concern for the climate and the extinction of life on planet Earth. No, I wasn't interested in that then. I just wanted to help my patients get well. Now I have a whole different dedication of my life, and that is to try and get people to understand that if we're going to save planet Earth, we must do the same things that I've done for 44 years to save my patients. You know, some scientific research says your burden on the planet will be reduced by 80% if you switch to a vegan diet, but it must be a starch-based diet.
Dr. McDougall teaches that a low-fat, starch-based vegan diet is the natural diet for humans. Many people still believe that a healthy diet includes lots of protein-rich foods and worry about whether they are getting enough. Should vegans share these concerns? Fortunately, Dr. McDougall explains that finding the right balance is easy as long as we eat the diet intended for us long ago by our Creator, which he says is vegan, high in starch-based foods, and lower in protein and fat than the standard Western diet. This diet has come to be known as the McDougall diet.
The nutrition was balanced a long time before I arrived on planet Earth. You know, there have been organisms on this planet for 400 billion years. And there have been mammals for hundreds of millions of years. And there have been human-like creatures for, say, 4 million years. And nobody had a dietetic handbook or a dietitian to guide them through food choices. The foods were properly balanced long before we were ever born.
There's been considerable debate around whether eating carbohydrates causes weight gain and whether people trying to lose weight should reduce their carbohydrates. Dr. McDougall explains that eating our natural starch-based diet leads to a healthy weight as well as curing most chronic illnesses.
If people are underweight, a starch-based diet will cause them to gain weight easily. And they'd be underweight because they were sick. And of course, a starch-based diet leads to most of the people curing themselves of chronic illness. So they would start eating more then, or if they were starving themselves, they would gain weight if they ate a starch-based diet. But you know, that's not the problem. The problem has been being too fat.
Fortunately, humans naturally prefer starch-based foods. Dr. McDougall explains that this offers great hope for a return to our God-given vegan diet.
Well, people naturally like starches. The human being is a starch eater. People find eye-appealing various curry dishes over rice, marinara sauce over pasta, mushu vegetables over rice. These are appealing to people. They not only look good, but they also smell good. Whereas animal foods are disgusting. And the only way you can eat them is to cover them heavily with sauces or salt or sugar. It's been my experience. You can't find somebody that's willing to eat boiled chicken or boiled beef. You know, they keep wanting to put steak sauce or salt or soy sauce or some type of covering that will disguise the disgusting flavors.
Extensive scientific research has been done into the McDougall diet. Let's hear about one of these studies from the doctor himself.
We have done and published 3 major studies on the effect of the McDougall diet, which is a starch-based meal plan, on people with various chronic diseases. One study, we looked at 1,703 of our patients who'd been through my 10-day residential program. They came and stayed with me for 10 days. And we looked at the results of all these people. And what we found is in a period of 7 days, they lost more than 3 pounds, eating as much as they wanted. They got an average drop in cholesterol of 22 milligrams per deciliter. Their blood sugars improved. Their blood pressures improved dramatically. And yet nearly 90% of the people who went through the program were able to reduce or stop their medications. The second study was done independently by Oregon Health and Science University, a medical school in Portland, the medical school in Portland. They independently studied my program for several years. The average weight loss in a year was nearly 20 pounds. The average drop in cholesterol was nearly 20 points at the end of a year. Most importantly, we found that 85% of people complied with the program. They ate the diet. 85% of people ate the diet. Why? Why? Because the results were so dramatic and the food tastes so good. There was a third study done in New Zealand where some doctors studied my program in a community setting. They found the average weight loss was 25 pounds. People stopped their medication, and they also complied with the program. They ate the food. They love the food. You love the food.
Our appreciation, Dr. McDougall, for your dedication to caring for and educating so many people about the many benefits of a healthy, plant-based, low-fat, starch diet. May your noble work continue in heaven's divine love and blessings. To learn more about Dr. John McDougall's program, please visit drmcdougall.com. In the last episode, we learned about Dr. McDougall's discovery of the connection between an animal people-based diet and disease, and how the low-fat, starch-based vegan diet is the natural solution. On today's show, we'll find out about the noble work of his foundation in promoting health and environmental sustainability around the world. Many non-vegans are unaware that the protein in foods that come from animal people actually comes from plants, but many resources are wasted in the process, so an animal people-based diet is much more harmful to the environment, as well as for those animal people, and of course, the humans eating it. Let's hear how Dr. McDougall and his foundation work to reach the people who need to hear this crucial message.
The foundation will be dedicated towards doing what we can to help save the planet. What we need to do is we need to tell people the importance of their food choices in terms of whether or not we're going to be here due to global warming. The foundation is dedicated to trying to convince the rest of the world that we need to make these changes not only for personal health, but to save the planet. Because what scientists tell us is that even if everybody converts off of fossil fuel, it's not going to be enough. We've got to fix the food. Planet Earth has to become a population of people who eat the human diet. The human diet is a starch-based diet.
Some of the most important people who need to be reached with this message are doctors, dietitians, and other medical professionals who have so much influence over people's diets, from personally advising patients what to eat, to guiding government policies. Let's hear how Dr. McDougall's foundation works.
Well, part of what we did, because of the education that I felt was necessary, is when I ran a residential program, which I did between 2002 and 2020. We ran a residential program in Santa Rosa, California, where people came from China, Korea, Japan, all over the world. And they attended this program where we educated them on site. But as of March of 2020, you couldn't do that anymore. You know, we had the COVID-19 pandemic, and the resort was shut down. Transportation was shut down. And so what we decided to do was to make it a telemedicine program. And that's what it is now. Our doctors come into your home, regardless of where you live, and we do a thorough medical evaluation and set out a plan for you to get off your drugs and to avoid all unnecessary treatments. We get to do that by the internet. And then every morning, our support specialists get together with you, find out what your blood sugar is, what your blood pressure is, how you're doing, what do you plan on eating today? And you get that kind of support all day from our staff. And we have a tremendous amount of education, much more effective. I want to tell you that even if things went back to, quote, normal, we would never run a residential program again. It's so much more effective to do this via the internet in your home. And I'm very pleased at the results we've gotten.
Life has no more fun. Try vegan.
Healthy viewers, we'll take a short pause for a brief message. Please stay with us here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back, attentive viewers. While the personalized program offers the highest level of support for people switching to the planet-saving vegan diet, Dr. McDougall explains that much of the information is available free to everyone.
The first thing I want to make clear to you is everything you need to know is free on my website, drmcdougall.com. There are probably 800 recipes. There's a meal plan. There's a 12-day program right there, free. You can have it. There are other articles on breast cancer and diabetes and weight, all free. So, you know, you don't really have to join us to get the benefits. It's all there. But most people, like myself included, find out we need a little bit more intimate education program than just, say, reading a book or a website. So even though it's all available free on my website, you may want to come because you need to have the changes happen soon.
While the COVID-19 pandemic has caused much disruption and suffering around the world, Dr. McDougall explains how it's also presented a powerful opportunity to educate people about the importance of consuming a starch-based diet.
You know, the COVID-19 pandemic has, to me, been an opportunity. It's made people aware of the fact that they can change. I've heard it said that we've progressed in less than 1 year. We've progressed as far as societal changes 10 years, a decade. It's pushed us that far ahead. It's made us realize that we can do something positive in our lives and in our planet's life. Just in the last year, the global warming gases have been reduced by 10%. There are animals walking through city streets. There are fish in the canals of Venice. In Shanghai, they can see the sky is blue.
Very early on in the COVID-19 pandemic, it was found that, on average, the disease affects overweight and diabetic people more than others. And these conditions are linked to both a diet high in meat and other foods from animal people. Let's hear Dr. McDougall explain the science of why the plant-based diet provides the most protection from COVID-19.
So what's been discovered is that when people are trim, and especially when they're trim because they ate a really good diet, a starch-based diet, they have a rather mild disease. And that's been a discovery all over the world. Whatever population has been studied, the overweight people are not able to defend themselves. Their immune systems don't work so well. The cholesterol they eat interferes with the transfer of the virus so that the virus becomes very transmittable from the bloodstream into the lungs because of the cholesterol in the food. You know, science has worked all this out. So here you are. Here you've got this this multifaceted win. With the right diet, you can cure high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, constipation, arthritis, etc. You can save the planet. And if you have the misfortune of getting infected with this coronavirus, you're going to have a good chance of surviving. You know, and there are things you can control. You can't control your age, but you can control your physical health. And that's just a matter of stopping the food poisoning. It's the food. Did I mention it was the food?
We finished our interview on this positive note by asking Dr. McDougall how governments can accelerate the shift towards the global adoption of the diet that's healthy for humans and the earth.
Government could do so much. You know, the purpose of the government is to protect us from foreign and domestic enemies. Well, governments also has to protect us from internal threats, from internal enemies, such as the meat and dairy industry and the drug companies. So yeah, they could do a lot. They've tried to do a lot over the years. They tried with the dietary goals of the United States in 1977. But industry, they got their lobbyists and their money together and beat those guys down to nothing. And that's not right. Not when it comes to your children, your spouses, your parents. You know, folks, we're not dealing with a broken television. We're dealing with people you love, people you depend on. Let's get serious about this. You need to have people telling you the truth. The truth is simple and easy to understand. It really is. People are sick because of the food. The answer is to eat a diet which 99.99% of people ever walk this earth have eaten, which is a starch-based diet. Let's get back to reality. Let's make a U-turn. This one simple U-turn will help save the planet, reduce the risk of going on to serious complications of COVID, and cure all the dietary diseases.
Dr. John McDougall's presentation on food poisoning at his website is presented in 24 different languages and dialects. So if you have friends, family, or acquaintances who don't yet follow Dr. McDougall's wholesome vegan diet, please visit drmcdougall.com for more information. Our heartfelt thanks, Dr. McDougall, for your commitment to bringing about the urgent changes needed in the world for everyone to be eating a healthy, plant-based, low-fat starch diet. May your noble work be forever blessed in nurturing celestial light.
When you make a wise decision for yourself, it ends up being a wise decision for every other living thing. Daryl Hannah, vegan, on choosing a vegan lifestyle.
Compassionate viewers, thank you for your company today. Coming up next is The World Left Ukraine to Fight Alone, Part 12 of 17, on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May we all be guided towards loving food choices for ourselves and our precious planet.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VEG.